So, parenting tip number 76 has to do with the number one complaint I have from parents, and kids admit to it, and it's how to deal with distractions. How to deal with the thought that they don't want to do the work, they cannot do the work, they just feel unmotivated, sometimes lazy, sometimes just sort of rebellious in a way where they don't see value in the work and they just think it's a total waste of time. You've seen this, right? You have your self motivated students who will just conquer any task that's given, who will go the extra mile and who will ask for extra credit. Then you have the other student who just says, you know what, I'll just get an F on this and then I'll pass the exam, and then I'll just pass the class with maybe a 70 or even a 60 as a D. It is passing. And the parents are constantly telling them you're not fulfilling your potential. Why you're being lazy? Just apply yourself. What do you do? Well, you don't lecture, but if you want to give tips and suggestions, and we need tips for ourselves because we all have a dreaded task to do and we find every distraction, right? Suppose you have a deadline to meet, you will wash the dishes, you will do laundry, you will do everything except the thing that's on your number one priority list, right? So self regulate, be aware. Tell your kids just be aware of when you're distracted because sometimes they're in the middle of it and they don't even realize it. So I'm working with a 4-year-old who is working on obvious distractions, right? So in the middle of it, we might be reading the word hat, which reminds him of a hat that he has, which reminds him of a superhero, which reminds him of who knows what. So right in the middle of it, I don't yell. I just say, wait a minute. What are you supposed to be doing right now? And immediately he knows the drill. He goes, focusing. And what are we doing? Being distracted. But I can't help it. So I acknowledge the fact that it is hard to focus. And I let him give him permission after he does 10 minutes of work. He gets 2 solid minutes of being distracted. He can talk about anything that he wants. He can draw anything that he wants. He can be totally distracted, jump in the air, show me his Superman moves. But when it's time to focus, he knows that it's not time to be distracted. And he's doing it. Does he need reminders? Yes. But if we can coach our kids into the importance of, dealing with distractions, that it's not something that you need to scold them about and lecture about, but just say, you know what? Distractions are a normal part of life. And explain, I get distracted all the time at work, right? You might be working and all of a sudden you wonder, what are you going to cook for dinner? Are you guys going to go out to dinner? Oh my gosh, I forgot to do the laundry. I'll have to deposit, some checks. Those of you who get checks, I still get checks. Um, but how do we do it? So self-regulate, number one, be aware of it, and just be kind. Just say, you know what, I'm distracted. But when you self-regulate, you get a timer. I have my trusty clock here, and you just tell yourself, I'm going to work and focus for the next, say, 30 minutes. If you're younger, if you have a younger child, just for the next 20 minutes, you will focus on the assigned task. And after they're done, they get to celebrate for 5 minutes. They get to do something fun. They can watch a funny YouTube video. They can watch a TikTok. They can go on their Instagram for 5 minutes. And then you lengthen the amount of time. You know what? Let's work for a solid 45 minutes. And then you have your mini celebration. You praise. And sometimes you might have to do self talk. That means just remind yourself. And I've had to do this little coaching tip with my daughter who is doing really difficult, challenging math. And she'll say stuff like, I am never going to understand this. I'm doing so many sample problems and I'm getting every single one wrong. So, of course, I'm starting to feel a little anxiety whenever, she gets into that mindset where I'm never going to be able to do this. And I have like 16 different math topics. So I just say, you know what? I don't know what to tell you, but just try it. You might have to try it 57 times, but just don't give up. And you can do it, Give yourself permission to fail, give yourself permission to make mistakes, and just do it. And I don't know if that's going to work or not. And then, lo and behold, 3 hours later, she goes, "Guess what, Mom? I'm done." I'm like, "You're done with all 16 topics?" She goes, "Yeah." And I said, "I thought wait a minute. Let's go back to you will never, ever get it." And she goes, "Well, I still don't know if I understood it, but was the assignment done?" Yes. Celebrate. So, self regulate, right? Self motivate. Sometimes we do have to just play a little game and say we're going to just work for a solid hour and then I'm going to have like a 10-minute break. But after self regulating and after self motivating comes self care. We need to take time to not just think of the countless to do items that constantly, right? Our list just keeps adding to the point where we're overwhelmed and we don't think we have time to take any time for self-care. But I invite you, dealing with distractions, that's the secret key. Because not only do you self-regulate, not only do you self-motivate, but when you do the self-care, it really replenishes just your soul. And we cannot work with an empty tank. If your soul is just depleted because it's just so exhausted, it's going to be really hard to just continue on. So that's my parenting tip number 76 for distractions: self regulate, self motivate, and practice self care. Thanks for watching. Bye.